Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to my class Unit 8, that is Modes of International Transportation. In the Unit 7, we have already discussed about the transportation. Today we will discuss in detail about the different modes of international transportation. So in this chapter, after completion of this chapter, you are able to understand the introduction of the modes of transportation in international system. Within that, we will study the ocean transportation, air transportation. Then we'll discuss about how the comparing the ocean and air transportation. Then we'll discuss in detail about the land transportation, road transportation, road infrastructure in the global scenario, then land transportation, what is in relating to the rail transportation, and then land transportation that is linked with the pipeline transportation, and at last we will discuss the transport mode and carrier selection. These are the things we will discuss today. So in the introduction part, we can say in the global logistics system and activities are different from that of domestic one. Because in a global logistics, there are so many challenges, so many opportunities and challenges are there. And for that, all the organizations, all the business must have to take proactive actions, proactive measurement, and different effective and efficient strategies, especially in relation to the transportation also. So in global operation, the logistic managers need to be very particular about the response time, order completeness, accuracy, and shipment or transport of documents and conditions. And for shipment of the documents and conditions, the transportation has a major role. It is one of the important element or ingredient in the entire logistics system. Global transportation is also defined as exporting and importing the products or services beyond the boundaries of a country. For this purpose, ocean and air freight move goods between the countries such as the United States of America, Europe, South America, Asia, and the Pacific region. That means globally it is used. And in the international shipment, the response times are generally the longer, primarily because of the long distance, slower movement by a sea freight, and the more documentations. You know, in the international business or in a global business, it is there are different barriers are there, different challenges are there, like your long distance, slower movement. Generally, this happens in case of sea freight and other transportation mode also, and some more documentation also required. So, by considering all these things, we can say the managers, logistic managers, as well as the business manager, must have to be very proactive by taking the different decisions relating to the transportation or export import system. So now let us discuss about the ocean transportation. That it means the transportation occurs in the sea. And due to the globalization of the world market, seaways have a large potential for the foreign trade. And throughout the world, this mode has acquired a very high position due to its advantage, like it is very cheapest and it is having a larger capacity and flexibility. However, the greatest drawback is the slow speed. The speed is very slow. So the waterways transportation has been in existence since the centuries providing the linkage between the different nations. Waterways include ocean, rivers, lakes, etc. And global trade is most benefited by ocean transport as compared to others, as most international shipments are carried via this ocean only. From a statistics, we can say around 90% of the total trade of the world is possible just because this ocean mode of transportation. That is the report back in year 2016 is mentioned. And high density, lower valued products are normally moved by ocean carrier. Water carriers have large quantities of bulk commodities at relatively low prices. Whereas in other modes, the price is high. And dry bulk cargo includes, you can say, the coal, grain, iron ore, sugar, fertilizers, alumina, and bauxite. The liquid bulk cargoes include petroleum, chemicals, fertilizers. Ports generally offer broad services to handle most types of freight. So ocean carriers operate as either linears or trams. Liners operate on a fixed schedule, while trams move when full. Effective use of these ships requires unitized or palletized freight. Unitization reduces the transport cost because it speeds uploading and unloading. The uploading and unloading becomes speed through this unitization process. And ocean transportation classifies the freight to be carried in two types. One is freight in tanker. Basically, it is used to carry high quantity liquids such as crude oil shipments, refined petroleum products, liquefied gas, etc. And there is another type is dry cargo transportation. Typically, this is used to carry dry bulks and other dry cargo such as coal, iron, bauxite ores, and steel products, food grains, and other containerized shipments. This is coming these categories. So the ocean transport, it is the freight classifies the freight into two types. One is freight in tankers, another is dry cargo transportations. Then let us discuss what are the different advantages of the ocean transportation. What are the different benefits? What are the different advantages? One advantage is it is suitable for all sizes of cargo. As compared to air and road transport, ocean transportation has more capacity to carry every type of good. The capacity of the vessel is more as compared to road or air vehicles, such as trucks, airplanes, etc. So, in one advantage, it is suitable for all size of cargo and is also efficiently handle this. Second is the ocean transport is environment friendly. How? Ocean transport is good for business as well as environment as compared to other modes of transport. Because gas emissions are very less if compared with other modes of transport. And these are becoming less day by day due to advancement in technology. So it is eco-friendly or environment friendly. Third advantage is ideal for heavy or bulky goods. Generally, the bulky or heavy goods, it is difficult to carry or transport through road or air. So ocean transport is most suitable when heavy goods are to be transported internationally, as there is no issues related to weight and size in case of ocean transportation as it is with the air transportation. Next advantage is no congestion. There are no congestion problem in this mode of transport and ocean transport. It moves freely without any hassles or traffic. Do you think there is any traffic or any hurdles or any type of problem during the ocean transport? No. Whereas in case of your road and other transport, there are so many traffic problems are there, so many challenges are there, but comparatively it is very, very less in sea transport, ocean transport. Last advantage, we can say safe mode of transport. Safety, it is one of the another important thing. When some specific kind of cargo, it may be dangerous or hazardous goods, is to be carried, then ocean transport is preferred, as ships are well suited for this purpose. Several rules and regulations have been for the safety of cargo and crew in ocean transport industries. So it is wise to transport in ocean mode for the dangerous and hazardous goods, because it is comparatively safe mode of transport than others. If these are the advantages, what are the different disadvantages of the ocean transport? Do you think there is no disadvantage? Yes, there are some disadvantages out there in the ocean transportation. One is the speed is very slow in the ocean transport. One of the biggest disadvantages of the ocean transport is its slow speed. It is very slow as compared to other modes of transport relevant in the international supply chain. So it is a challenge. It is a disadvantage. Second is high packaging needs. To keep cargo safe and secure during the journey, a sophisticated packaging is done so that there is no damage. These needs are far more than the other modes of transportation. Third disadvantage is no door-to-door service. In ocean transport, this facility is not available, door-to-door service. There is no possibility of door-to-door service. One of the disadvantages of ocean transport is that it does not facilitate the door-to-door service in most cases. There is a need of other mode of transport to make shipment available to that particular destination. Because from the port, from the destination till the destination, how it will be moves, another mode of transport is required for that, for door-to-door service or to reach the particular ultimate customer or consumer. Next disadvantage is it is less flexibility. Flexibility is very less in terms of timetables and routes of ships. Shippers cannot change their shipment timing according to their convenience. It is a fixed time is there. Route is fixed. So in terms of flexibility, it is comparatively less. Another is effect of weather condition. The mode of transport is mostly affected by the weather condition, which results in wastage of time in some cases. So what are the disadvantages we have discussed till now? One is slow speed. Second is high packaging needs. Third is there is no door-to-door service. Fourth is less flexibility. Fifth is effect of weather conditions. Then, after discussing this ocean transportation, Now comes to air transportation. Air transportation serves as a fastest, yes or no? It is the fastest and vital link for the international markets to link in to the domestic markets. In the international trade logistics, the contribution of air transportation is increasing as it is supporting quick deliveries of goods in time for key international markets, thereby saving time. Air cargo represents about 10% of the airline industry's revenues. IATA says average 35% of the value of goods traded internationally is transported by air. Air cargo is a barometer of the global economic health. Understood? Air cargo is a barometer of the global economic health. So air transport is considered as an important factor in development and growth across the world as it helps in trade increases. And it is only the alternative to ocean freight for the international movement of the goods. Do you think for international movement we can use the road or anything? There is a very negligence, or there very less chances there. Either it may be ocean or it may be air. But airways or air transportation, it is the fastest. The speed is more, and airways move less than 1/10 of 1% in terms of weight. The weight it cannot be equal with the ocean transport. Yet it represents a much higher percentage of revenue as high value products are moved by air. But high value products are preferably moved by air. There is no competition between these two modes, air and ocean. Why? Practically, there is no competition, because the high valued goods, which is very quickly it is required to the opposite side or to the international you want to send, then definitely it is preferable for air transport. Whereas there is some specific categories, bulk size, everything is required to transport or to move through ocean. So there is not any competition that is between air and ocean transportation. And air transport is extremely useful for many regions. It is convenient, it is very fast, and does not have to compete with the natural barriers. Do you think for the natural barriers, is there any problem for the air? No. Very negligible chance. While road transport is the quickest way to deliver goods that only have a short distance to travel. Suppose any shorter distance you have to travel, then you have to take the help of the road transport. And air transport is the fastest option for freight that have a further destination. It is even regarded as the best mode of transportation for perishable goods for this particular region. And in addition, air transportation does not require the infrastructure investment that railways do. Airplanes fly freely, which means you do not need to spend the initial cash building a pathway to your destination for it to get there. Do you think there is some investment required for that particular pathway? Whereas in case of rail and road, any type of road transport, it is required. Investment is required, huge investment is required to make the path. And the lack of barriers also means that it is accessible to all areas, regardless of the obstruction of the land. However, in one main disadvantage is that planes can easily be affected by pretty much any type of inclement weather. Whether it is rain, it is maybe snowfall or high winds, your shipment is likely to get delayed if any weather condition becomes extreme. So, from this discussion, what you find the characteristics of air transport? One is high speed enabled the response to market requirements. Fastest, it is also fastest linkage between the international markets. Prompt delivery of freight in the designated times. Air transportation supports time sensitive shipments for transportation. And it supports availability of high-tech, high-value, and time-sensitive products across the globe. Again, I am repeating the characteristics of air transportation. Basically, in air transportation, one is high-speed enabled response to market requirements. It is possible. Fastest linkage between the international markets, it is also possible. You can link with the international market. It is the fastest, very speed, very time consuming, and prompt delivery of the freight in the designated times. You can promptly delivery of the freight in that particular targeted time or designated times. Also, air transport supports the time sensitive shipments for the transportation. At last, we can say it supports the availability of high technology, high value, and time sensitive products across the globe. So these are the characteristics of air transportation. The main feature of this industry are speed of service, door-to-door delivery, including completion of all cross-border regulatory requirements. Tracking system is also possible. Proof of delivery, it is high security, reliability, and access to the global connectivity to their customers. And in these air industries, we can say there are what are the different advantages of the air transport. Already we discussed a little bit. One is speedy. What speedy is? Air transport is considered as the fastest mode of transport when it comes to international shipments. It is very important of the transport when supply chain requires speedy delivery of cargo. Second is reliable. Arrivals and departures are very reliable in this mode of transport, and the delays are very less as compared to ocean transport. There is a easy mode for high value and perishable cargo. Air transport is very famous for the shipments of high value and perishable goods, and also the wide reach is possible. Air transport network is very fast and available everywhere. So air transport helps in sending cargo to part of the world. Another disadvantage is no physical obstacles. Different terrains like mountains, rivers, valleys, etc. have no effect on the working of this mode of transport. Next is insurance premiums are very lower. Insurance premiums for air shipments are low as compared to ocean transportation because the lesser time required to reach that particular destination. So these are the different advantages. One is speed, then another it is reliable. It is easy mode for the high value and perishable cargo. Then the wide reach is possible, no physical obstacles. Insurance premium also it is very low. And another advantage is less packaging cost comparatively. Air shipment requires less packaging as compared to ocean transport. because it leads to savings in time and cost for the shipper. Last is less warehousing requirement. As cargo inspections, clearances at airport and shipment timings are very less time as compared to other international modes of transport. Therefore, warehousing requirements are very less. And these are the advantage. Then comes to disadvantage of air transport. One disadvantage is there is impact of environmental condition. Several environmental conditions such as snow, fog, rain have severe impact on air transport, which can lead to losses times. Sometimes it is not always, it is sometimes it happens. Second disadvantage is expensive. Do you know the transportation in air, it is very expensive. Air transport is considered as one of the most expensive modes of transport by shippers, and it is only suitable for some specific type of goods whose value is high. The demand for air freight is limited by cost, typically priced 45 times that of road transport and 12 to 16 times that of sea transport. So imagine the demand for air freight is limited by cost, typically the priced 45 minutes that of the road transport and 14 to 16 times that of sea transport. And another disadvantage is high gas emission. The effect of air transport on environment is very huge as compared to the ocean transport, because CO2 emissions are far more in case of air than ocean. Next is another disadvantage is prohibition of some type of cargo. There are some prohibition. There are several items prohibited by air transports, and shippers have to be very careful when air shipment has to be done. These rules and regulations are different for different airline carriers. And for your information, in the airline or air cargo, it is very expensive, and there are some prohibitions are there. What is transferable, which is movable by the ocean, it may not be permissible for in cargo, air cargo. So now let us compare between the ocean and air transport. Is there any similarity? Is there any advantage comparison? So we have to compare both ocean and air transportation. And on the one hand, you have air freight, which is for its quick delivery. Already we have discussed. But on the other, you have sea freight, known for its cost-efficient service and the ability to handle large cargo volumes. So both the channels have their own positives and negatives, and choosing between the two has never been easy till now. So the main difference between sea and air transport is the speed. Already from every discussion we have already discussed. Speed is the basic difference. If we consider waiting and handling times for air transport, the length varies from a few days to a maximum of 10 days. While for sea transport, it depends on the distance and services available, and it can vary from a few days to several weeks also. So please imagine the difference in relation to the speed. And ocean freight is usually much slower than the air. Everybody we know. Customs issues and port holdups can cause additional delays. So express LCL is increasingly available on more routes and by more forwarders, often guarantees a delivery date which is faster than the regular ocean transport. And now, after the ocean and ocean and air transport, now let us discuss about the land transport. In the land transport, first let us discuss about the road transportation. That is also a land transportation. It is very popular. It is commonly, it is generally used by all the businesses. So the roadways have expanded rapidly since the last few decades. The most used and prevalent mode of transportation in supply chain management is the road transportation. Is it or not? So most of the logistics operations of corporate enterprises largely depend on this mode of transport. You can see overally there is a mode of transportation of air, ocean, road, rail, pipeline. But approximately, or we can say one third, or it is more than two-thirds of the movement of the goods are generally used through land transportation. The reliability and economy of this mode is gradually increasing due to continuous improvement in the quality of motor vehicles and the condition of the roads. Accordingly, this transportation mode facilitates in the achievement of logistics objectives like lower transit time, lower total logistical cost, and improved customer service. That's why over the years it has attracted to the corporate world significantly and eaten the business of the railways. And products that are being in the remote villages are being transported by the road to the nearest market hub or directly to the consumers. So extension of the road network to the rural areas, road network to the rural areas has enabled the farmers to make available their yield from the fields, raw milk, other related dairy products, etc., to the markets immediately after the production. So definitely they will use the road transport. Or do you think they will use the ocean or any type of air transport? Because the product's value is very less. There is a shorter distance. So only the medium is road transport. So what are the characteristics of the road transportation? One is last mile connectivity. What is that last mile connectivity? The growth of the road transportation has a distinct advantage over all other modes of transport. Last mile connectivity or accessibility. It means any location can be under service with delivery of goods or collection of commodities. For an example, the US system of highways is so pervasive. What do you mean by pervasive? Spread through a large area. The US system of highways is so pervasive that virtually every shipping and receiving location is accessible via highways. So due to this, carriers on road can reach to the any origin and destination. It is that particular advantage. And another is truckload, that is the TL symbol we are writing, and less than truckload, LTL. There are the two forms of road transport, and these are truckload and less than truckload. In TL or truckload, the truck documents not have multiple stops, whereas in less than truckload, multiple stops are there. Another characteristic is flexibility. It is the important characteristics in a road transportation. Unlike the rail and water carriers, which always require fixed tracks or waterways, there is no highway constraint to the road carrier. Next characteristics, linkage to other transportation modes. Road transport is that mode of transport which acts as link to other modes of transport, such as railways, ships, airways, etc. Then, next characteristic is it is relatively low initial investment. Road transport infrastructure requires less initial investment as compared to rail, air, pipeline, or water. Then, what are the advantages of road transportation? I think from the above discussions, you are now able to understood what are the different advantages of the road transportation. One is flexibility and accessibility. What is that? Road transport provides door-to-door service, making it highly flexible for the deliveries and passengers travel. Second advantage is cost effective for short distance. If there is a distance is very short, only there is no option for that. Compared to the air or rail transport, road transport is often more affordable for short and medium distances. It is very cost effective. Do you think it is similar with the air or rail or the ocean? No. Another is speed for short trips. It is very speed for short trips. It allows for quicker transportation of goods and people over short distance without the need for additional loading and unloading. So what happens? Ideal for perishable goods. Road transport is preferred for transporting the perishable goods. What are the perishable? Like your fruits, vegetables, dairy products. Due to its speed and direct delivery, it is ideal for the road transportation. Next is easy connectivity. The road transport connects the rural and urban areas efficiently, making it essential for the trade and daily commuting. So what are the advantages today I told? One is your flexibility and accessibility. Next is your cost effective for short distance. It is very speed for short trips. It is ideal for the perishable goods. Then easy connectivity. There is a connectivity is very easy in case of your road transportation. Then other advantage is less formality and documentation. In air and rail transport, road transport requires, in comparison to air and road transport, your road transport requires minimum paperwork, which reduces the delays and bureaucratic procedures. Whereas in case of air and rail, it is there. There is a time-consuming process for the documentation, bureaucratic formalities. Next is suitable for small shipments. It is more convenient and economical for the small loads compared to bulk transport by rail or sea. Next is infrastructure development. Expanding the road networks, support economic growth, and improve trade between the regions. It expands the road networks, which supports the economic growth and improve the trade between the different regions, one region to another region. Next is availability. Roads are accessible in almost all regions, making road transport the most widely used mode of transport. Everybody should admit it, because in your day-to-day life also this happens. It may be internationally or nationally or regionally. But Last is adaptability to weather condition. Unlike air and sea transport, which can be affected by extremely weather, road transport can often operate in various weather conditions with minor disruptions. Disruptions is there, but it is not like the air and sea. So, what we discussed till now, these are the different advantages of road transportation. One is your flexibility and accessibility. Second is your cost effective for short distance, speed for short trips, ideal for perishable goods, connectivity is easy, less formality and documentation, suitable for small shipments, infrastructure development, availability, adaptability to weather conditions. Next comes to the road infrastructure in the global scenario. What is the in the global scenario? What is the road infrastructure position or situation or condition? In the global scenario, it is estimated that the global road traffic activity will be double to nearly 43 trillion annual vehicle kilometers by 2050. Imagine. And this rapid growth calls for an increase in the global road infrastructure by about 60% above 2010 levels by 2050. So an increase of roughly, we can say roughly it is 40 million paved lane kilometers by 2030, and additional 11 million paved lane kilometer by 2050. So one of the important concept or China and India account for nearly half of expected roadways additions. In contrast, some of the OECD countries such as Germany, Japan are expected to slightly reduce the total paved road lane kilometer as national vehicle travel begins to decrease over time. So the key message here, global roads are likely to grow by nearly 25 million paved lane kilometer by 2050. So in the global scenario, current global road infrastructure overview, if you can think, then total road length, the world has over 64 million kilometers of roads. How much? 64 million kilometers of roads, with the largest networks in the United States, China, and India. Then what is the highway density? Developed countries have extensive road networks with well-maintained highways, while developing nations focus on expanding infrastructure only. Developed countries, extensive network with well-maintained highways, but developing countries focus on expanding infrastructure. Naturally, this happens. Smart roads. If you can think about smart roads, many countries are adopting the intelligent transport system, ITS, with AI-driven traffic management, automated tolling, connected to vehicles. You have seen, you people must have seen that system now. Another is major road infrastructure projects. If you can think about that, in 2024 and 25 reports, China's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI. It is a massive infrastructure project enhancing the road connectivity across Asia, Africa, and Europe. 3 continents can linked. Next is US Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. A $110 billion investment in highways, bridges, and roads. It is the US Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. So $110 billion investment it plans for the highways, bridges, and roads. But what is our country India's Bharatmala project? We are not also much behind of USA. It is 100 billion, 100 plus billion for highway expansion and expressways. What is that India's Bharatmala project tells? Next is European Transport Network. This is focused on cross-border road connectivity and sustainability. Then Africa's Trans-African Highway Network, expanding the intercontinental roads to boost trade and mobility. This is the overview about the road transport in the global scenarios. And what are the key challenges in road infrastructure development now? One is challenge is funding issue. Many countries face that budget constraints in maintaining and expanding the roads. Traffic congestion, another challenge. Urban areas struggle with the growing vehicles numbers, requiring the better traffic management. Another is environmental impact. Roads contribute to the deforestation and emissions, isn't it? Yes, leading to a push for sustainable solutions. It is a alarming condition. Another challenge we can say that is a technological adoption. Upgrading the roads with smart technology and heavy infrastructure demands the significant investment. It demands significant investment. Then comes to another important concept, that is what are the emerging trends in road infrastructure? What are the emerging trends? For information, you can say green roads, use of recycled materials, solar powered highways, eco-friendly construction methods. This is considered the green roads. This is the one of the emerging trend. Another emerging trend is electric vehicle, EV charging corridors. You have seen in so many organizations, so many universities also, they are in their campus, it is mandatory for them to use the electric vehicle, and expansion of charging stations along highways to support the EV adoption, electronic vehicle adoption. Till now, there is a less aware about the people or consumer or customer. Another is autonomous vehicle readiness, AV, developing the infrastructure to accommodate self-driving vehicles. Another emerging trend is PPP, public-private partnership. Now you have seen in the different news, different articles, there is many governments are collaborating with the private investors to fund infrastructure projects. So these are the different emerging trends in the road infrastructure. Then what is the future outlook of the road infrastructure? Recently, we can say by 2030, global road infrastructure investment is expected to exceed $20 trillion to support urbanization and economic growth. So the developing countries, especially Africa and Asia, will see the rapid expansion in highways and expressways. Now you people can see there is a huge expansion. So many national highways, international highways, national highways, there are different state highways, they are increasingly in an accelerated manner. And sustainability and technology will be at the forefront of the road infrastructure development. Sustainability and technology. And about the road transport, we can say now let us come to land transportation, and which is relating to rail or rail transportation. It is a very old and it is a common transportation system. Rail transportation plays a critical role in the global logistics and passengers mobility, offering an efficient, cost effective, and sustainable alternative to the road transport. Yes or no? It is a one type of alternative for the road transport, but we cannot compare. It is air transportation is not an alternative for the road transport. So countries worldwide are investing heavily in railway infrastructure to improve the connectivity and reduce the carbon emissions and enhance the economic growth. So how this rail transportation works? Now let us have a look on the overview of the global rail infrastructure. If you can say the total rail network, the world has approximately 1.3 million kilometers of railway lines, with the largest networks in especially in United States, China, Russia, and India. Are you imagine 1.3 million kilometers, and its the largest networks are in USA, China, Russia, and India. If you can think about the high-speed rail, countries like China, Japan, France, and Germany lead in high-speed rail development, with the trains reaching speeds 300 to 400 kilometers per hour. Then in urban rail system, metro and light rail systems are expanding rapidly in major cities worldwide to combat the traffic congestion. Now, next is major rail infrastructure. What are the major rail infrastructure projects in 2024 and 25? The China's high-speed rail expansion with over 42,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. China continues to expand its network. 42,000 kilometers of high-speed rail. And another is, it is between 2024 to 2025. European TEN-T rail corridors. It enhanced the cross-border railway connectivity across the Europe. Also, India's bullet train project, we can think the Mumbai-Ahmedabad high-speed rail HSR project aims to revolutionize Indian rail transport. Then you can think about the US rail modernization, the investments in Amtrak and new high-speed rail projects in California and Texas. Another is Africa's standard gauge railways. Countries like Kenya, Nigeria, Ethiopia are modernizing rail networks for better trade connectivity. It is about the different overview of the global rail infrastructure and major rail infrastructure projects in 2024-25. After that, let us discuss what are the key challenges in rail transport. There is a high capital cost required for the rail transportation. Capital cost. Rail projects require significant investments, often leading to funding and challenges. Then infrastructure maintenance. Aging in rail infrastructure in some regions demands heavy maintenance investments. And competition with road and air transport. You know, in many regions, rail struggles to compete with faster air travel and flexible road transport. And you can say the regulatory and cross-border issues in the international rail projects faces different legal and political hurdles. These are the different key challenges in the rail transportation. One is high capital cost, infrastructure maintenance, competition with road and air transport, regulatory and cross-border issues are there in internationally. Then what is the future outlook of this rail transportation? By 2023, the global railway investments are expected to exceed $5 trillion, which focusing on sustainability, speed, and efficiency. Asia, particularly China and India, will lead in railway expansion while Europe will focus on high speed and sustainable rail networks. Electrification and digitalization will be key to making rail transportation more efficient and competitive. Electrification and digitalization, it will be the key to making all the rail transportation more efficient and competitive. And there are different advantages are there. Rail transport has several advantages in logistics, making it a preferred choice for many industries. Some key benefits are there, like it is cost effective for bulk transport. Basically, rail transport is more economical for moving the large volumes of goods over long distance compared to the road transport. Here, there is a lower fuel cost per ton kilometer, make it a budget friendly option. Second is energy efficient and environment friendly. Trains consumes less fuel per ton of cargo than the trucks, which reduces the carbon emissions. So electrified rail networks further lower the environmental impact. Another point is reliable and less affected by the traffic. You know, unlike the trucks, trains follow fixed schedules and they are less prone to delays caused by the road congestion. Because it has a fixed schedule, it has a fixed time, rail networks operate independently of the road conditions, ensuring better time management. So it is reliable and less affected by the traffic. Another is higher load capacity. The capacity is higher. Trains can carry significantly more cargo in a single journey compared to the trucks, and ideal for heavy goods such as coal, steel, automobiles, and raw materials. Another is safer and more secure. It has a lower accident rate than road transport. Also, it reduces the risk of cargo theft due to restricted access to the railway facilities. There are RPF facilities are there. There is a very less traffics are there. So many restrictions are there. Another is efficient for long distance transport. Trains are particularly suitable for intercity and international freight movement. It reduces the handling during the transit, minimize the damage to the goods. Another advantage is it reduces road congestion. Increased rail freight transport reduces the number of trucks on the roads, leading to lower traffic congestion and road maintenance costs. Another is there is some disadvantage of the rail transport. Everything has some advantage and disadvantage. It is expensive for short distance. Rail transport is very economical for long distances, but shipping goods for short distance may prove to be expensive for shipper. In case of low flexibility, another disadvantage is low flexibility. Rail transport service is not very flexible in terms of changing route, timings of shipment, as there is some rigid or fixed schedules are there for the rail transport. Another disadvantage is slow speed. In comparison to the air, rail transport is considered as the slowest mode of transport as compared to other modes of transport in the logistics. So these are the different disadvantages of the rail transport. Another is packaging needs. As compared to air and water mode of transport, packaging needs of these modes are very high. Another disadvantage is less reach. As compared to road transport, where door-to-door service is possible, this mode has limited reach as it is guided by the railway tracks, which are fixed and away from the populated areas. And last part we can say about the pipeline transportation. It is a type of transportation which has been designed to transport specific type of goods such as refined petroleum products, crude oils, chemicals, gases, limestone, coal, etc. For the long distance economically, in the initial stage, pipelines were used to feed other modes of transport such as water, road, rail, and they were basically operated as the subsidiaries of oil companies. Now we can say there are the different characteristics of the pipeline transportation. Pipelines are virtually unknown to the general public, but it represents a key component in the international transportation system. Oil and oil products represent two-thirds of the ton miles transported by the pipeline, and pipeline transportation is comparably to that of all other freight carriers. Carrying capacity has been increased in a great way by this pipeline transportation. This is the only type of transportation where the vehicle is fixed and the product is moved in different volumes as required. This is the advantage, or there is uninterrupted of the service. There is no interruption occurs. Operating cost is very low. There is no risk of goods in loss or damage. These are the advantages. There is unlimited route. There is no additional space is required for pipeline transportation, and it is very economical friendly, environmental friendly, because there is no any carbon emission or anything happens in this. And there are different disadvantages of these pipelines. There is a high initial cost involved here. Flexibility there is very limited. It is restricted to specific products for oil, water, chemicals. It is not for all. And it is environmental risk. There are some risks are there, environmental risk. There are some hazardous materials like crude oil and chemicals. It may take some disadvantage of this. And there is a vulnerability and of natural disasters, lengthy of the approval and construction time, and it is very difficult to the maintenance and repairs of this pipeline. And the capacities also, there is some constraints are there. So we can say in the last portion, we can say transport mode and carrier selection. For selecting the carrier and transport mode, it is very important decision for a shipper, but there is no one hard and fast rule for the selection. The objectives of the resources, the shipper are compared with the benefits of the modes of transport available. So there are various factors which have to be considered. One is cost, another is transit time we have to consider, reliability point we have to consider, capacity, what is the ability to handle, then network coverage, whether it is local, regional or international. Then another criteria is technology and tracking, and another is sustainability. By considering all these factors, the decision will be taken. So in conclusion, we can say international transport is a key component of the global trade, enabling the efficient movement of the goods across the borders. The choice of transport mode, it may be air, sea, rail, road or pipeline, depends upon the factors such as cost, speed, cargo type, distance and infrastructure availability. So we conclude, we can say air transport is the fastest but most expensive. Sea transport is the cost effective for bulk and heavy cargo. Rail transport is reliable and economical for land-based travel between the countries. Road transport offers flexibility and last mile connectivity. Pipeline transport is efficient for liquids and gases. So most of the business use a multimodal transport approach to a balanced cost, speed and efficiency. So the success of international logistics depends on effective carrier selection. This is about this unit. Thank you all.